Okay, here we go with the quick video on the rag rugs that I promised everybody. As you can see, I just pulled out a few scraps I have, and I usually go about an inch and a half. If I have a fabric that's a little more lightweight, I might go 2 inches. This is a little wider than I want for the weight I'm using. This is like a quilter's cotton, and so basically, I mean, you can do all this with your rotary cutter and do exact measurements, fold up your fabric and cut it in long strips. I don't do that because for me, these are utilitarian. I love making them, but they also keep our little footsies warm, and they're not meant to be the most beautiful thing on the planet. They're just meant to get the job done and be a little whimsy in your house. So this is too wide for what I want. It is a little bit more lightweight, so I won't go an inch. I'll go a little more than an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a quick clip. This is from one of fabric that I made my daughter dress out of when she was little, and it's just a leftover remnant, and so I'm just going to rip it. Kind of gives it a raggedy look when you make the rug, which is okay because it's going to do that anyway. If it gets a little too raggedy for you after washing, I just, take one of those little shavers that you use to trim the pills off of your sweaters and go over it that way. This one is not quite wide enough. It's not quite an inch. So I'm just going to put this aside, and it's going to go into making one of these little bowls later on. So that just goes aside. I have a little basket that they go in. And so this is about what you're looking for. See, I have one more piece here. So if you should find a fabric that doesn't tear very good, maybe the grain is the wrong direction or something, just fold it up and cut it, or get out your rotary and do it that way. But I'm just going to give this a little clip. Tear it. This piece is going in the pile for the bowls, and this piece I'll begin to make my rug. Now I'll start with this long piece of red. It's a bit wider, but I'm going to use it anyway. So basically how this works is first I'm going to make yarn. I guess you could call it yarn. And so I'm going to take this piece of fabric and I pull both ends together. Now, if you were using sheets, these would be very long strips. And you can choose to make them shorter to make them easier to deal with. However you want to do. I put my 2 ends of fabric together, fold them over once. Now you can see I've already done that with this one. And then I take my scissors and do a little clip right there. Now I have a hole like this in each end of the fabric. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my next piece of fabric. And I'm just using random pieces. Usually I kind of try to stay to a color theme because I do a lot of sewing and quilting and such. So I have a lot of fabrics and I just separate them into color themes. But today I'm just going to be random. And the random ones come out just as darling as the others. So here we go. I've done that with my second piece of fabric. And I'm just going to take the end of one and I'm going to hold it like this. End of the other, put them over each other, find my little holes, match them up, and take the end of the second fabric and push it through that hole from the back. Now, my back is your front, so, and just do that, and then I just pull it tight. And then I'll do that one more time so that I have enough length to show you how to get it started. And then I'm going to fold my fabric over both pieces, both ends of the fabric. I'm going to clip about a 1/4 inch slit, excuse me. Now that slit will be a little more than 1/4 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that there. And I'm just going to take the end of this last piece of fabric and I'm going to put them one over the other, one over the top, find the hole, the slits, take the end of this piece of fabric and send it through the back and up towards the front and pull it through and then pull it tight. That's very easy. So now I have a strip of fabric that's about that long. I'll put one more on because I don't want to get caught and not be able to at least turn the corner for you. So I'm going to take both ends of the fabric just like that. I'm going to turn it like that. Now, if you're just finding old fabric that you bought at junk stores and things that, you know, maybe it's not that pretty for actually making anything, but you just like the color of it for, you know, for a rag rug, then you can choose to cut the, oh, that piece I already have. Get that out of my way. You can choose to cut the selvages off first, and then keep the selvages for other projects that you do. So here's my first slit. There's my second slit. I just put my fingers through both. I pulled the new strip of fabric up. Sorry, I'm trying to do all this in front of you. I don't do videos normally. Okay, push it through the back, pull it through, pull it tight. Now we have the start of our yarn, so to speak, our fabric yarn. I'm just going to do it like you would do crochet. I'm going to bring up sometimes I do this the way I'm supposed to, other times I don't. Slip knot, plain and simple. I'm using a P size hook. Some people use Q, some people use O. A larger hook is definitely something you need. If you're using a thicker width of fabric, you might want a bigger hook. When I do these in fleece, which are very yummy, soft rugs, I use a much larger hook. I'll have to get that for you and show it to you. It's basically single crochet. So you're starting with a chain stitch. And you definitely don't want to do this too loose, but you don't want your chain so tight that you can't get your hook through it later. So I don't know. I'm not a precision type person. So I'm just going to pull it through a few times so I have how long I want the middle of my rug to be. So when you get started on this, these are things you have to play with and learn. And you may pull it out 10 times before you have it the way you want it. Just know that when you chain like this, unless you're someone super spectacular, which I'm sure there are many of you out there, your chain is not going to be that beautiful. It's not going to be like when you're doing crochet with yarn and you can get nice, even, you know, as you get better at it, it probably will. Since I'm someone who doesn't really care, it never is. I try, as I'm going to make sure that I'm kind of turning the fabric so that the pretty side is out, showing more color. Some people don't care about that and they just do it. But I kind of try to do that so I get more color. It doesn't always work out, but I try. Okay, so here I've done a chain stitch, and say I just want an itty bitty rug. We're going to say that's good to go. Now, you're going to do just as if you were starting something else in crochet. You're going to skip the one that the hook is in. You're going to go to the second one. See, here's the one the hook's in. You put your hook through, pull up the fabric, and do a single crochet. That's the beginning of making your rug. And then you just simply do that all the way down the line. Okay. Give me a second, I'll go down to the end of the line. Okay, so you can see I've gone all the way down to the end, and I'm here where I have my extra fabric for my tail, which I will weave in later. So this is the part that gets a lot of people in the beginning. You've come to the end, you're right here, here's your original slip knot. You're going to have to go 3 or 4, maybe 5 times in the same hole to go around the corner, just like you would in any crochet project that's circle or oval. The only difference is, you know, fabric just is not as forgiving as far as just pushing it through and pulling it. It takes a bit of effort. Oh, and I've tried to make myself a double crochet there. So I'm going to go through the hole. I just did the last one in, which is right by the slip knot, which is right here where we started. I'm going to put my hook in from the front. You're seeing everything from the back. I don't know how to show you any different, because I'm old and I don't do this. And then you make your chain, and then you're going to go in the same hole right here, and I'm coming in from my front. You're seeing it from the back, and you're going to do another chain. Now, some people work this tail in as they go down the next row, and that is fine. I just don't. So that's just the way I do it. Everybody does it a little different. I'm going to do one more in that hole and bring it up and do that. Now, I'm going to put this little tail towards the back. So you're seeing I pull it back there with my finger. And I'm just going to go into the next hole. Let me see if I can show you this way. This is how you'd see it from the front. I did 1, 2, 3, 4 chains in the same hole. Now I'm going to go into this next hole that from the other side. So you're going around. Gosh, I hope you can get this. I'm going into the hole next door and pulling through. And if you don't get it the first time, just pull it out and start again. So now you can see the tail is in the back. I've done 3 or 4 in this right here by the slip knot. And then I went to the next hole on the other side and I put a chain in. I think it'll make more sense when you're trying to do it yourself. I wish I had one of those up above your head kind of things. So now I've got it here. I'm trying to find a way to show you. Okay, so here's my red tail. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. That might help a little. All right. I usually take all my fabric that I put together and make it into a ball just like yarn. Now I'm going to go into the next hole next to it just like you were doing a chain. So let me pull this up a bit. This is why I'm not a YouTuber. Okay. My tail is back here. This is from the front. Okay. So I've got one in this hole. I'm going to go to the next chain over and put, my hook will be through my, and I'm going to go through that hole. Now you're seeing it upside down of what you would be seeing. I'm coming up, taking my fabric and going through just like that. So basically I'm going to do that all the way down this chain, just a single crochet on the other side. And honestly, I wish I could help you more with that, but if you don't know how to do a single crochet, there are a million videos online that will show you how to do it with yarn, and it's the same basic principle. So I'm going down to the end. I'm going through the next hole. Getting these two first rows done is the hardest part, because you're kind of questioning how it fits into each other and trying to find the holes that are supposed to be the right hole in the chain, because fabric is just not as forgiving as yarn. It's not as delineated as yarn, so you just don't see it as well. I will tell you that there's a lady on YouTube. I think her thing is Rag Rugs by Erin, and she does a real good job of explaining it. The only difference between hers and mine is she is very precise, in my opinion, in the way she does it. So you can see now I'm going down the line. You're seeing it from the back. So here's the front. See, I'm going down the line. I'm going to go all this way. And then I'm going to do one more turn for you so that you can see how you just keep increasing. Honestly, some fabrics are easier to work with than others, and I don't think I chose some that were very easy to work with for this video. So, and then you do the next one. You know, I think you'll notice that this crochet is it's not as fluid as doing it with yarn. And that's okay, because you're not looking for the same perfection. Now you see, it looked like a hot mess when I was trying to do it, but it's starting to look really cute. The colors are coming together and they look fine together. I'm at the end. I'm going to take this last little bit here. I'm going to find a loop to put it through. I'm going to make the single crochet, and here I am at the top of the other end. And that was another piece of red, so that may kind of, I probably should have used all the same color. But now you're coming to the point where you have the loops from the single crochet before. So I'm going to show you something that is very easy to do and shouldn't be done. You find one loop after you've done your row. You've gone around once all the time, and that's not what you want. You're looking for the two loops together that make that one single crochet. And that is what you're going to put your, see how I have there's two loops on here. And I'm going to put my hook through both, bring it through, and pull it through. Now, I'm going to have to do that again here. I had to add a few more strips of fabric so that I would have enough to show you this. In the same hole, and then I'm going to do it again in the same hole. Each row will be a little different. The bigger it gets, the less times you will have to increase in the same hole. There will be more increases. So now I'm all the way out around with my increases. Gosh, if you hung with me this long, you really must want to know how to do this. And now I'm going to go to the next. Since I did 3 in that same hole, now I'm going to grab this second loop on the other side. You see there's 1 and 2 because it's a single crochet. There's a loop that's there. I'm going to take I'm not an upside down or backwards kind of gal. Put my hook through, pull it through, or I guess they say yarn over, and pull it up. Okay. I learned this from my mama, who learned it from her mama, who learned it from her mama, as they say. And so I'm not always up on all the terms, but I know how to do it. So now I'm around that corner and I can just go straight down all the way down to the other end and do it all again. So now I'm going to show you a little further into, I have one that's in some different colors that I'll show you how you increase around a bigger corner. So bear with me. Okay, so here I am on a rug that I'm a little further along on. This particular one is some curtain fabric that I had curtains made out of in my kitchen. And then this stripe is a valance that I got for like 50 cents at Goodwill. So again, you're just going, I may have to get one of my grandkids to help me. So you're finding the whole, I don't know if I can show you. Do you see each one of these loops? Loop, loop, loop. You want to go under with your hook, both loops. You see how, I'm trying to find how to do this. So you see how my hook is through both loops, loop, loop, loop. And then you're going to pull that fabric through. Now you have two, and you pull, yarn over, and pull it through. And you do that, you just go on around, and honestly, the bigger this thing gets, the easier it is, because you get into a rhythm. I'm not in rhythm right now, but, and it's not quite so much the trying to make everything fit and trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to real quickly get to, I keep saying corner, but it's not a corner, the curve to go through. So as you can see by watching me, it definitely doesn't take anyone that has any talent to do this. You just have to be willing and have time on your hands. Okay, so here I am. I'm starting to go up around the curve. Okay, and I am finding those little two loops. Well, those two pieces of fabric that make the loop. Putting my hook through, yarning over and pulling it through. So now I'm getting to the corner. So I think the way I do it is I kind of test. I pull like this. I feel, and if I feel like there's too much, like it's going to give some tension, then I'll do an increase. So there might be a little tension here. It might pull it a little too tight. So an increase is just basically taking that same loop that you just did your last stitch in right here and just putting your hook through it again and then making another single crochet in the same hole. And then you go on again. You find the next hole with the two loops, the two pieces to make the loop. You pulled your fabric through like a boss. And hopefully you don't end up losing it like I do. And you do it again, the next hole, and you just keep feeling how that feels. Sometimes I adjust a little right here, pull this a little to make it tighter, or give it a pull like this to make it looser. And I can tell you that here, see how I'm holding this and it's kind of coming back this way? See, it's going to pull a lot when I get there. So I'm going to do another one, but I'm going to show you another way you can increase. I don't like to use it as much, but you can use it if you were in a place where your hole had got so tight that you weren't going to be able to get your hook through again. Just basically do one chain like that. Don't put it through a hole, just do an extra chain. And then go on to the next hole right there and keep going around. that will give you an increase and take the tension off, just the same as the other. I just don't prefer doing it that way. There you go. And then you go around and you just keep feeling for that. And you see, it's just not as, it doesn't flow as easily as when you're crocheting with yarn. But the benefits are so wonderful, and the joy you get when you're all done with it just kind of, well, I don't know about other people, but I feel very accomplished when I get one done. And so you just keep going and going, row after row, until you have the size that you want. And that's the back, sorry. So this is the nicer size. The nice thing about these is that they can be washed in a washing machine. I do mine on gentle and lay them flat to dry. Although I will say that when my kid does it, they usually just get washed with other things. And sometimes they are forgotten and thrown in the dryer. And mine have always come out fine. They will look a little loose and a little more ratty as time goes on. And like I said, you just go ahead and take, your little shaver for your pills on your sweater. Or you can take scissors and trim it like you would anything else. Now, on this one, you can see I've got a lot further. And you could say, okay, I'm done and I want to tie off. Well, tying off is something that you can, or weave in, whatever you want to call it, that you can literally do on just the same as the other stuff. It's crochet. So what you're doing is crocheting. So if I had I'm just going to take another piece of fabric here because I want to pull it out afterwards because I want to do more on this. So we're going to pretend, boys and girls. I'm going to pretend this is attached to this and that I'm that I'm weaving it in. So basically what I do to weave in is I pull it up like it is right here. But then I would get my needle. You put a darning needle on it. I don't have a darning needle with me. That's in my bag downstairs. Oh, I may have one over here. Let's see. Well, this is good enough for government. So, okay, we'll do it like this. I take my piece of fabric, put your fabric through the corner, pull it through. Now this is the one I'm not tying off because I'm not done with this, but I would do this what I'm doing here on this. Then I would pull it through here one more time. I'm going to do this backwards because I don't want the needle, which is not a darning needle, to pierce through the fabric and then I won't be able to get it out. You find the loop, you just go through one right there where you're at. You pull it through. Well, laws almighty, can't get it through. Okay. Pull it through. And then you would loop it and tie another knot and pull it real tight. And then it's just as simple as going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And then I go down maybe 6 or so. Some people just do 1 or 2 and come back and do 1 or 2. I want this to stay together for a long time, so I may go down 4 or 5 inches. And then I flip over and come back the other way, weaving it in the whole time. And then you just pull it real taut and give it a clip. And, then kind of stretch the fabric like this to have it pull back into the stitches where you can't see it. And you're basically done. The better you get at it, the neater this will look at the end. And sometimes, honestly, because the fabric you're working with may be persnickety, you may not get the chance, it may not look as nice. I think you'll see in some of my pictures, some of the fabric, it just looks so smooth and beautiful all the way around. And other places, it's bumpy and not so happy. And that is just the nature of the fabric. I think if you used all the same fabric, like you had 2 sheets and they were the exact same you know, make up, and you made sure they were the exact same width, that you could probably make it very smooth and very, I guess I'll use the word seamless looking. I don't care about that. For me, they're whimsical and fun, and there are memories in each piece of fabric, unless, of course, it's something that I bought at a thrift shop. And then my kids love them under their feet. I love them under my feet, and I have them all over my house. So I hope that helps. That's what I do. And like I said, you know, I'm not a YouTuber or anything. So if you can find a video that will help to explain to you how to do a chain stitch around an oval, or even another person that does rag rugs, I'm happy that you have those kind of options. But I promised a little bit of just telling you how I do it, and that's how I do it. So you guys have a great day. Thanks. Miss Sandy saying bye.